If you want to take your air filter from sounding like that to an amazing whine, here's how you're going to have to do it. First, you're going to have to start out taking these 4 little nut Christmas tree plastic pieces off. I usually use a flathead to get them off, and I usually like to flick them. Once you get those out, you'll be able to pull this black thing out from the front grill. It clips in like 2 places. It can be kind of snug at times, but you can eventually be able to rip it out. Next, you're going to have to grab a Torx bit and unscrew both of these things connected to the air filter. Once you get those out, you're going to want to pull and tug on it until it comes out. Sometimes it can come out in one piece. Sometimes it can be 2 separate pieces connected to that triangular looking thing. Next, what you'll have to do is take off these 7 screws. There's 2 in the back that are kind of hard to get to, but you'll be able to. Once you get those 7 screws out, you're going to want to loosen this metal clamp thing with a flathead screwdriver. And once you get that off, you can kind of pull it separately, and you'll be able to see the air filter once you pull it out. Once you take it out, in the inside, you're going to still have this black bin that's connected in 3 spots. There's 2 grommets on the bottom, and there is a little connector with a hose right where that silver screw looking thing is. You're going to want to pull these 2 grommets off, as we're going to be able to use them later. Once you get all of that situated, you're going to be able to pull this hose out. But first, you're going to have to unclip these wires or wire housings from the hose. And it's pretty easy. You just pull on both sides and take it out. To loosen the metal clamp closest to the engine supercharger, I had to take the little Audi cover off. It's very easy to take off, but I had to take that off. You're also going to want to take off this little hose that's connected to the top area. It just slides off, and then you'll be able to pull the whole thing out. You get everything out, you're ready to start building the IE quarter intake heat shield. And you're going to grab a 4mm Allen wrench, and you're going to find the 4mm Allen wrench bolts, and you're also going to have their nuts, and you're going to put them in these 2 already tapped places. And once you do that, you'll be able to snug it down, and it'll start taking shape. Next thing you're going to have to do is you're going to make sure that you have this type of like little come out circle thing. And some models don't, but if you don't, you'll be able to have a piece that's about 4 inches long with a similar like circular thing coming out of it. But what you're going to want to do is grab a 4mm Allen key again, and then you'll also have a little like housing for it, and then a 8mm nut, but that is for the grommets to sit on. And once you put the grommets on and everything, you're about able to put it in the engine bay. But before putting it in the engine bay, you're going to grab the secondary filter, and that goes in by just taking that black looking plug almost and sliding that in through the back, and then putting the filter on top. But you also have to tighten down the metal clamp. But once you do that, you'll be able to rock and roll. But make sure that the clamp's metal and screw area is facing away, just because you don't want to nick anything with the extra metal coming off and being able to hit something. You're also going to have this mounting piece, and you're going to have a little rubber washer almost that you're going to slide into the non-tapped side. But you're all going to put this next to the fuel pump, I believe. And there is a little screw hole where you can put the self-tapping screw through, and it will be able to start tightening. But you put the little rubber washer almost in, and then there is a black little metal circular thing with a tip on it, and you slide that through, and then you put the self-tapping screw through. And once you get that all situated, it's kind of tight. It's not as tight as I would like it, but it's not horrible. And once you get everything, it'll tighten up. So you want to slide it in, and you're going to put them on those two rubber things that you put on, and you're going to be able to squeeze them in through the holes. And then eventually you're going to have to connect to the thing that we just put in with another one of the 4mm Allen wrench screws or bolts with no nut because it's already tapped, so you're just screwing into that. Once you get all of that situated, you're going to be able to take this hose that we had connected earlier before we pulled it all up, and you're going to connect it to the secondary air filter. You're going to hear a click when it snaps on, and that's how you know it's on completely. Next, you're going to need 4. I only have 3 in this image, but you're going to need 4. And you're going to be able to start sliding them in. You're going to want to start with the side closest to the supercharger, because once you get there, you can kind of navigate your way. Once you get them all tightened in, you're going to be able to grab your air filter. After you make sure this little hose is there, you can use one zip tie on each side. It's like a little L brace. I use 2 on each side just in case, because you can never be too safe in this case. But make sure you snip those, because you don't want any plastic like laying it down, flapping around, because it can make like a little plasticky flicking noise when you're driving, and that's just going to be horrible. Once you do all that, you're going to be able to slide the cold air intake on. Next, you're going to want to take the weatherproofing little rubber thing, and there's metal on one side, but you just have to put the side with the metal down closest to the cold air intake, and it'll kind of slide on. And it's pretty easy besides these little turns, which can be kind of hard to navigate, but once you get them figured out, it'll be good. And this is going to keep it softer when the hood closes, but it'll also keep the heat from coming from the engine all the way to the cold air intake, because if there's too much heat, it can start to bog down and everything. Once you finish putting that on, you're going to be able to put those 2 plastics back. You're going to want to take the one that you use the 2 torque bits with, and then this is how it will sound once you